Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today the topic is Alexander Siemens, which is the IT engineer in the world. Before we start, if you are new, so don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. Now let's move to the topic Alexander Siemens. Alexander Siemens, 22 January 1847 to 16 February 1928, was a German electrical engineer, and then the Siemens was born in Hanover, then a kingdom within the German Confederation to Gustavus and Sophie Siemens of the Siemens family, an old family of the Kostlers, which can trace back in 1384. His father was a judge and a cousin of William Siemens, the famous electrical engineer. He was educated in Hanover and moved to the Woolwich, London in 1867 to work with the Siemens Brothers factory. He returned to the German Confederation in 1868 to study at the University of Berlin. Interpreting his studies, there would be laid telegraph cables. In the Middle East, their cables were in to form the part of the London-European telegraph, and much of the works was undertaken by Siemens Brothers. Upon the annexation of Hanover by the Prussians in 1866, following of the Austro-Prussian Wars, Siemens became a Prussian citizen and liable to conscriptions. He was conscripted in 1870 and as a private fight in the Franco-Prussian War, which has been wounded at the Battle of the Bonneau-la-Honor. It was these actions in this battle where the Prussian forces won a decisive victory over the numerically superior French army that he was awarded the Iron Cross after the demolitions in 1871. He turned to the family business to Woolwich and assisted the building of the furnaces for the use in steel foundries and city motoria. In 1871, Siemens was a founder of the member of the Society Telegraph Engineers and Electricians and Electricians, which became the Institution of Electrical Engineers in 1889, and was president of the institution's device in 1894. And in 1904, his first inaugural address was an analysis of an electrical lightning acts of 1882 and 1888. His second, advocating a wider use of the metric system in 1875, he sailed aboard the cable ship Faraday, laying the several cables across the North Atlantic. In between the voyages, he built several furnaces for companies in the US and Canada, returning to the UK in 1877 and becoming the British citizen throughout the neutralization in 1878, and he was appointed the manager of the electric lighting division of the Siemens Brothers in 1879 and was involved in the manufacture of the generators, and lamps and cables and for electric industry. In 1881, he married Lucia Dodwells, with whom he had three daughters, one of whom, Mariana, married Burton Hopkins, and son of the great electrical engineer John Hopkins, and himself a professor of engineer at Cambridge University. Later in 1881, and Siemens Brothers took over a project to provide the world's first public electricity supply in gold mining survey. This project was never a viable business, but the company undertook it to gain more experience in the lighting industry. Siemens has been the director of the Siemens Brothers, and since it became the limited company in 1880 and was made the managing director of the 1889 and post, he was told him until the success. But if Hugh Simons and becomes the director of the Simons, and the organization replaced him, and throughout the remain under the board directions until his requirements and retirements in 1918. He was appointed to be the British delegate to the International Electrical Congress in 1893 and a similar congress in Paris in 1901. In the same year, the National Physical Laboratory in the Tangenton reserves a president of the Institution of Civil Engineers between the November 1910 and November 1911. But in retirement, he lived to the Wavesource Halls and Milford-on-Sea hemispheres and were died from the heart failure on 15 February 1928. But his son, upon the annexations of Hanover, the Prussians in 1866, following the Austro-Prussian War, Siemens became the Prussian citizen and liable conscriptions he conscripted to the 1870 as a private fight to the Franco-Prussian War, which was wounded to the Battle of Bunch's Land, and he was its actions of the battle where the Persian forces were the decisive victory over the numerically superior French army that was awarded the Iron Cross after the demobilization of the 1871 and the return to the family business and ruleship and asserted. And it's all about this. Thanks for watching my video.